Hi there, I'm Lewis Foster, a journalist in the Manx Radio newsroom. Welcome to today's edition of Newscast. Members of the Royal College of Nursing have been travelling around the island today to raise awareness of their ongoing pay dispute with the government and the poor staffing levels they face on a daily basis. Starting this morning at Nobles Hospital, they then travelled by bus to Ramsey, Peel and Castletown. I went down to Nobles this morning to speak to some of the members gathered there about why they were taking part.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Karine, chair of the Isle of Man branch for ASEAN.
Down here today, trying to raise the profile, is that right, of the pay dispute. Just tell us about the turnout and what you're hoping for from today.
We're hoping that we'll have a good turnout today, that the government will be more aware of the situation of the nurses in Manx Care. It's not just, as last time as what I've said, it's not just about the fair pay that they're asking, it's about the safe staffing that the people needs, and for safe staffing to be provided to the patient and the retention of nurses. As you can see, there's a big turnover. People leave the island, and by the time the new hired has come, the last one they've hired has already been exhausted and tired and has enough. So the last thing on that mind of that person is to leave it. So we better get this done because people has already enough. This is enough. They had sacrificed a lot already for the past few years, and they've been putting up on things that even though they themselves need to be taken care of, Manx Care has not been there for them. So it's high time for them to recognize these people, not just as workers, but as human beings that needs to be valued and appreciated, not just with the fair pay that they're asking, but for the retention of nurses that will provide a proper work staffing every day. Because it's toiling on their part if there's lack of staff. Those workers that is in on that shift will work double time. The risk of patients care is very difficult, and the risk of errors, the risk of safety of the patients is very difficult. But if they could provide the retention of nurses, the proper staffing, then it will provide the proper care as well for the patient.
And you've got the campaign bus on the island, I believe, today. That's going to be travelling around. Do you feel the message is getting through? Hopefully this time they will hear us, that we are really serious about this matter, because the nurses and the people working in the healthcare industry deserves more than what they have as of the moment. And it's not just, again, the fair pay, but it's more on safe staffing. Safe staffing will save lives. What happens if the message doesn't get through? Possibly quite a bleak outcome from what you're saying.
We have a series of meetings this past few days regarding this, and after this bus tour today, we might plan for another one, say a protest or a strike. But let's see how it goes after this, and hopefully they will hear us this time, because we're really serious about it. The government is really not appreciating what the people is working, especially in the healthcare industry. And even though they will say it's all across the board, but everyone in this system needs to be addressed. Yeah.
And you're heading up to Ramsey, I believe. Is it taking the bus on tour up there?
It's the first stop. Yeah.
So really going all around the island and hopefully meeting people you've not met before on these campaigns.
Yes, hopefully. So definitely the people will be more aware what RCN does and what does this people needs.
I'm Kate, I'm the Sister on Day Procedures.
Tell us why you're taking part today.
So I'm taking part today to try and just raise awareness with the public really as to why we feel we need to go on strike.
I think that's a message that's been lost in the general public and as well the higher ups in government.
I think so. Is that we have had some MHKs here today and they do understand and they have listened to our concerns and said they have raised them, they will raise them when they're sitting again. So we seem to be getting through to some levels of management. They seem to understand, some don't. So I think the more we can just raise awareness and speak to people, then the better that will be.
What do you think some of the misconceptions are about why you're undertaking these campaigns?
I think the message that's got out that we're asking for 15% is definitely a misconception. We have had, we did ask for 15% originally, which we have had some of that. We're not asking for another 15%. We're asking for the difference to be paid. So
that's taking into account the inflation over the years and everything like that?
And the fact that we've been behind inflation for a long time. I'm not sure of the exact figure.
but for years it seems as well. And we heard about last time when the strike actually was taking place about the pay award for the police as well. Has that been addressed? Has there been any outreach to say, look, we're looking at rectifying that situation?
No, it's not being addressed at all. And we don't begrudge anybody else getting a pay rise at all. We're very supportive of the police getting theirs, but we just need to raise awareness of our own. But there's been no forward movement on our request since then.
And what about safe staffing levels? Any movements in there to kind of amend that situation?
No, not at all. I think the issue with the safe staffing is we're desperately trying to recruit and retain staff. And that is really difficult at the minute. I mean, in my own area, I have 3 vacancies currently. So staff are constantly filling in the gaps themselves. So we're all working extra hours to fill that. We're getting overseas applicants, but they're not registered with the NMC. So then that takes time. So that's, So I think until we resolve the pay issue, I think people from across that would look at the pay and then look at how much it would cost to rent somewhere to live and, the cost of the utility bills and everything else. It's not doable at the minute.
So plenty of stepping stones for new recruits to have to consider before they move over to the Isle of Man, if they are coming from abroad, of course. There are moves we've heard to train more people up on the island. Is that any signs of hope from that angle?
It's not something I can answer. I don't know,
But you're saying about recruits coming over for the UK. How far does a typical applicant come before they turn their back? And is it quite frustrating when they get to, say, one of the later stages and then say, actually, we've added it all up and it's not viable?
Yeah, we've had recruits recently that we've got to the stage of giving them a start date. They've done all their, we've done all their references and their DBS checks, and then they pull out at the last minute. It takes 3 or 4 months to go through the recruitment process. So then you have to go back and start again, and that is frustrating. We're also training healthcares to do their jobs, and they're not staying either. So you train them and they stay maybe a year and they realise that they can't afford to live on the salary that they're being paid. So then they leave as well. We've lost one ourselves in the last week. She can't afford to live on the salary that she's being paid and raise her family. So we're losing staff to go and work in banks and cafes and other industries where they will get paid a lot more.
So it seems you're going through all the effort, training, putting that resource into getting people over to the island and training them up ready. And it's no fault of the hospital or the staff like yourselves who've gone through that effort. It just seems to be the cost of living the island in general.
The cost of living on the island in general is really high. And that's it's a big issue.
What would your final message be from today?
For the public, hopefully the public take on board what our message is and realise why we're doing this. At the end of the day, we are doing this for the general public. We want safe staffing. We want sufficient staff to be able to ensure that they are safe when they're being cared for in the hospital.
My name is Pam Macon. I'm the lead nurse for critical care.
Okay, and tell us why you're out here today.
I'm out here today mainly for safer staffing levels.
That's your biggest issue, is it?
That's my biggest issue, And I'm actually fighting for our junior staff, for our staff who are low paid, who have a lot of responsibility.
How does low staffing affect you on a day-to-day basis? What are the challenges you face?
The challenges I faced is that post-COVID, my department lost 25% of staff. Because they decided to move because of the pressures and stresses, and also had 25% of staff reduce their hours down. So that in itself, it's taken a long time to try and recruit staff into the post. However, in our area, which is a specialist area, they need to have a set skill set, and then we're actually having to develop them, which adds more pressure to the workload.
What do you think a short-term answer to the recruitment problems would be?
Short-term answer would be is that we come in with pays comparable with across or a little bit higher, then that might attract the right people with the right skill sets, people who's got experience, knowledge and skills to come and work for the Manx Care.
Do you think the public understand well enough why you're out undertaking these campaigns?
No, I think the public feel that we're just out for fairer pay, and they've been misled by saying we're asking for like 15%. We're actually asking for 5%, and I think the general public need to know that we've been in a pay dispute since 2020. We do actually appreciate their public support. We do appreciate all the claps during COVID. However, we didn't get any pay rise. We got no bonuses. A lot of hospitals across got a COVID bonus. Manx Care did not give us a COVID bonus. We got a thank you badge.
Do you think Manx Care are listening to the recent strike action, to the campaigns today? Do you think the message is getting through?
I think it's very difficult for Manx Care because they need to have the finances in order to support the pay rises. However, have to question the amount of executives we have now in Manx Care, the amount of business managers and managers itself. Surely if we reduce some of them down, then there might be some money for other things for patients and also mainly for safer staffing on the ward so that our patients get the care they deserve.
Excellent. And finally, what message would you like to give to somebody who's walking past today?
I would like to give the message that please support us in this campaign to ensure that we have safer staffing, because safer staffing saves lives.
My name is Steph and I'm a senior healthcare at Nobles Hospital.
And we've been talking about safe staffing levels, the struggle to recruit and retain on the island. And you've been showing me some of the texts that you get through calling out for bank staff today. Just describe what it's like on a daily basis, having that phone go off.
I'd say it's dread. If you're coming into work and you have a look and you see so many text messages coming through and you see that your ward is short-staffed, that absolute fear of going, oh my God, I'm going to come into a short-staffed ward. I don't know what I'm going to walk into. We've had reports that ED have been under extreme pressure. So we have been admitting patients and they're, dotted across the hospital. So it does bring dread and fear into you.
And just describe to us some of those numbers that you were getting through on the text this morning, what the kind of volume of staff that are required on a daily basis.
Yeah, so it's a high volume. Some texts would say they need one member of staff for a certain ward. Sometimes it's up to 5 to 6 members of staff needed for just one department. So it's quite a lot. It's high volume.
We saw that message out on socials yesterday about regarding the emergency department being very busy at this time, redirecting people who perhaps needed care to look at the other options around the island. Is that, well, I suppose it's symptomatic, isn't it? It shows just the pressure that you're under, but what kind of scenario, what staffing levels would it take before those kind of messages are put out?
Well, see, this is it, and it affects all of Manx Care because, if you're short on GPs, then people aren't going to go to their GPs, they're going to end up in A&E. A lot of people who, we are a elderly population, so there's people that can't just hop in their car and go to Ramsey. They can't just go to the minor injuries unit. They have to come to A&E. And there's not anywhere for them to go. A lot of people come in for social reasons because it's deemed unsafe for them to go home. So obviously, as a duty of care, we can't allow them to go home, but they aren't medically unwell for a hospital. So there isn't anything in between. There's no rehabilitation centre. There's no anywhere where patients like that can go. Nursing homes are full, residential homes are full, or they're closing down. So it's a really hard one at the moment, and it's the people that are suffering.
What would your message be to anyone walking past here today?
I would say come out and support us. Just talk to us. We're people at the end of the day, looking after other people. You can call them patients, but at the end of the day, they are your mums, they're your dads, they're your grandmas, and we do this because we care. We just want the recognition for that.
Thank you for making it to the end of the Little Manx Radio newscast. You are obviously someone with exquisite taste. May I politely suggest you might want to subscribe to this and a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider so our best bits will magically appear on your smartphone. Thank you.